Hello everybody, and welcome to Anatomy of the Food Label Part 2. I'm your host from Concierge Fitness, John Schwenker. So about 2 weeks ago I posted a video on YouTube about the Anatomy of a Food Label Part 1. In that part we discussed the ingredient list, which I've got right here. You can see that guy right there. I'll put it up on the side of the screen so you can see it a little bit better. But today we're going to be talking about the nutrition facts. Basically, nutrition facts are the building blocks of what you eat. There's macronutrients. We're going to go over that. Micronutrients. I'm going to tell you guys where to start when looking at a nutrition fact label, and I'll tell you where most people start and why there's a different place you should start. I want to give you a little bit of a breakdown of that today. So today, we're going to be using Dempster's whole grain tortillas as an example. It has a nice breakdown, so I've decided to use that one today, and we're going to get going. So on the label, as you can see over on the side there are proteins, fats, and carbs. Those are our macronutrients. Those are our biggest building blocks of the food. There are also micronutrients. On this guy, we have potassium, calcium, iron, thiamine, a bunch of things like that. Those are all the vitamins and minerals. Those are the things that we ingest that don't have calories. Calories, again, come from protein, fats, and carbs, and also alcohol, but we're not going to talk about that in our tortillas. So the first thing is normally fat on the ingredient list. Fat is pretty important in your diet. That is the building blocks of your cells. On every one of your cells, there's this thing called the phospholipid bilayer. And on that bilayer, it's made almost exclusively of fat, and we do need good fats in our diets to stay healthy. So good fats are very important for our health. Next, if you look at our label, we have carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are for energy. That's the main thing it provides. Carbohydrates aren't exactly an essential nutrient in our diet, but it is very important. Glucose is what's used by our brain, our hearts, and everything in our body to create energy. So carbohydrates are our primary fuel source. And then finally, there's protein as well. That is what really gets our metabolism going. That's what allows us to build lean muscle. And protein is very important in all of our bodies. If we don't get enough protein, then there's a lot of things that are going to happen, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So those were our macronutrients, protein, fats, and carbs. Micronutrients, like I was saying, those are our vitamins, our minerals. Those are essential for processes in our bodies. And all micronutrients have different properties. We're not going to delve too far into that today. We're going to stick more with the macronutrients today. On top of that, there's also breakdowns. We have saturated fat, trans fats. On some labels, we may have monosaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats. In future videos, I'm going to get a little bit farther into those, but today we're just going to focus on the big things. So the first thing, as you can see on our nutrition fact label over there, is actually a lot of people skip this altogether, and it's probably the most important thing, is the serving size. So I'm just looking at on our tortillas right here. The serving size is one tortilla, which is 61 grams. So when you're looking at something, a lot of people skip right to calories. They're like, oh my goodness, this has 200 calories, it's a lot, or 300, that's a lot. But at the end of the day, you have to know how much you're eating, because this is one tortilla. You probably won't have much more than that. You might have two tortillas if you're really hungry, I don't know. But for me, normally I'll have one tortilla and then stuff it full of chicken, onions, peppers, and stuff like that. So I'm just only going to be having one tortilla, so I can kind of process that in my head and know how much I'll be eating. So one tortilla. And then we look through everything down there. Next, we have the fat. It's fairly low in fat, 4 grams. That's not very much. I know, as just from doing this for years, that this is going to be higher in carbohydrates because it's a wheat and it's predominantly carbohydrates. So, yeah, 28 grams of carbs. There's 3 grams of fiber in there, which is great, and only 1 gram of sugar. So low in sugar, which I always love to see. Next, we have protein, 5 grams. I'm not really banking on this to be my big protein source, so that's awesome. Gives us a little bit of extra protein in there, which is nice. So things you really don't want to see are trans fat. You can see in under the fat column. Saturated fat, you don't want too much of that in your diet. But other nice numbers you want to see are fiber. So a couple grams of fiber you want to hit in the 20s to 30s for your grams of fiber a day, so you're getting some fiber in there. And like I said, it's also what you stuff this with. In your veggies, you're going to be getting lots of fiber as well, so that's very nice. So on the second half of it, there's also a lot of micronutrients. Again, we're not going to talk a lot about micronutrients. They are very important for you, but we're just focusing on the macros today. So like I said, this is just one part of your meal. I don't know many people that are just going to eat a tortilla by itself. So this is the nice base of a meal if you're eating it normally. To ramp up the protein, which I'm always talking about, I'd throw in chicken, turkey, or any, you can do like chickpeas and black beans in a burrito, whatever you like. If you want to go with a more vegetarian option, that's always awesome. But any kind of protein, load it up in there. Another one of my general rules is try to get as many veggies as you can in your diet. Those are packed full of micronutrients, fiber, so many good things for you, and it's filling as well, which is really nice. So I might throw in my chicken in there, get my protein numbers up, and then throw in a ton of veggies just to get your fiber, micronutrients, and all of that in there. And then you have a pretty good meal. You have a nice lunch or a takeaway dinner, whatever you need. So it's got everything in there that you need. So that's how I want you to read a nutrition fact label. Always start with the serving size. Know how much you're going to be eating. It doesn't matter how many calories in there if you're going to be eating multiple of what it is, because 170 calories on that list doesn't really tell me much if I don't know how many I can consume, what the serving size is. So always take a look at that, especially when you're comparing two like products. One might be a 50-gram serving, the other might be a 100-gram serving, and you're like, oh, this one's half the calories. But at the end of the day, the serving size dictates how much you're actually eating. Always look for the protein, fats, and carbs. Things high in protein, they generally get my go-ahead. Anything crazy high in carbohydrates, make sure to just try to get those proteins and veggies in there. And if there's something super high in fat, it's normally good as an additive, like cheese. Put a little bit of cheese in this, and that would be great. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. That's just a quick breakdown of nutrition facts. Look at number 1, the serving size. 2, look at the proteins, fats, and carbs. Micronutrients aren't the biggest deal when you're just looking at things like that, but this is going to give you a nice quick start into looking at a nutrition fact label. Do this with the ingredients list, and you'll have a great idea of what you're eating. All right, have a great day, everybody.